I've been reading a lot of the fallout from the Red Sox game in the last little bit, catching up on some things from earlier in the day. Not that you need to know that. I ran across this comment from Craig Breslow. I think we have seen the ability to be competitive in the AL East with a young group that's really exciting, really athletic, really dynamic. Let me read that again. I think we have seen the ability to be competitive in the AL East. I'm going to stop there. To be competitive in the AL East. They finished 13 games out of first place. What's he talking about? What the hell is he talking about? Now, I know what you're going to say, Mike, so I'm going to preempt it. Because if I were to say to you, what's the problem with the Red Sox, your answer would be they've given up.
Yeah.
So how can he sit there with a straight face and tell me that they're really competitive in the American League East when they're 13 games out in the loss column, 13 games out of first place with 3 to go? So whether it's 10 or 16, you're going to finish in double digits behind the first place team in the division.
After finishing last the previous 2 years.
That's competitive?
No.
So what the Red Sox define competitive as now is we don't completely suck? Is that it? That's the bar?
I think so, yeah.
That, to me, that's insulting. That is insulting. What do you think? I'm an idiot? Like, really? What are you watching?
He might as well have said, we're bad, but we're not Blue Jays bad. That's all that comes off as. What an a-hole.
I mean, that is such a horrible comment. A horrible comment because it sets a standard for the organization that is absurdly low.
Absolutely. And that's where they are. They've given up. As you said, they are not a championship-driven organization. They are not driven to win championships. They are not. That is not their calling. They have given up on that thing, and I think the whole experience has sort of followed suit. We hit on it yesterday, Mazz. They've given up on the ownership level. I think that has led players and uniform personnel to let go of the rope. And I think it's led their fans to let go of the rope. And it's all devolved into this situation where here we are. Like, the whole thing is, I just think it's adrift. It's lost.
No, it is. It is aimless.
Aimless.
It's aimless. They really, what's the goal?
They missed the playoffs for 3 straight years, and people aren't really all that pissed off. They don't really care about
No, they don't. They've lost people again. And this is really the message to them, to me. Like, here's what I would say to the Red Sox. Do you guys realize nobody talks about you ever anymore? The only person who talks about you regularly is me. 6 o'clock every night during the baseball season because I am contractually bound. Even I don't want to talk about you right now because I find you so freaking boring.
It's Mazz's Red Sox handcuffs.
Seriously. It's like, do you understand what you are now?
But
do you understand?
They're still turning a profit, so I don't think it matters to them anymore. And the neatest trick that they've pulled off here in recent years is that the organization and John Henry's managed to brainwash a large segment of the fan base into thinking that signing big money contracts isn't a sustainable way to remain competitive over a long term. It's worked. Their dumb Jedi mind trick that has pissed off the real fans and people that did care and want to see like a better brand of baseball that we deserve in a market like this, that trick worked. They've brainwashed a large swath of the fan base to say, like, well, you can't do it that way. What they're doing, they're building through the farm system. You can't sign big money contracts anymore. That's not how baseball goes. It's worked. It's unbelievable that it's worked because the product blows and they keep missing the playoffs.
It's never been easier to make the playoffs, and they missed it 3 straight years. I mean,
especially this year.
I mean, that is just a disgrace for this kind of franchise.
I mean, at least Alex Cora was asked about it after the game last night and said, look, we were in position, we blew it. Like, I was surprised he said it because I think Cora has kind of quit too. He's given up. He got his contract. He's sort of accepted the reality that it's going to be the way it is. And so I was surprised to hear him say they blew it. I was expecting something else. And on the topic of the contracts, here's another thing that should scare the crap out of you because this is related to it. In The Athletic today, I think it was Jen McCaffrey who did sort of an overview of where they are, talking to Breslow, going over a bunch of different things. Who's the closer? What does it mean for the young guys? And she gets to this category, rotation upgrades. Listen to this. She writes, when asked about the need for a frontline starter, Breslow wasn't definitive about adding one, but did suggest trades might be on the horizon given the top-heavy position player group in the minors.
Here, do you have the quote in front of you?
Yeah, I do.
I put it in our notes. I found it. Go ahead.
Okay. I think every team needs someone to front the rotation, he said. I think the question is, what does that look like? Where does the availability come from? Do we have guys that can take another meaningful step forward and pitch at the front of the rotation? Because there were stretches this season where any number of guys pitched like a legitimate front of the rotation starter. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me with this? So you're going to go with what you've got? I said this to Carabas last night. This is what I'm worried about. That all of a sudden they're going to look at it and say, well, Tanner Houck turned into a number one. Bayo was really good in the second half. Cutter Crawford gave us 32 starts. Yeah, with an ERA of 4.5, which is basically what he's been his whole career. Gave up 33 home runs, most in the big leagues. Is he a big league pitcher? Yeah. Is he a big league pitcher on a team that can win the American League East? Maybe if he's your fifth starter. They're already giving you excuses about why they're not going to spend this offseason.
Absolutely. What is the availability? I'll just, before we even get to what he's saying, I just hate the way he talks. It's like, another way to say that is, yeah, every team needs aces. We might have him on staff, but instead he doesn't talk like that. It's what every team needs someone to front the rotation. I think the question is, what does that look like? Where does that availability come from? Do we have guys that can take another meaningful step forward and pitch at the front of the rotation? Because there were stretches this season where any number of guys pitch like a legitimate front of the rotation starter. He's already telling you.
Right, for how long?
They're going to rely on their guys to make that next step forward as opposed to going out and paying for it.
Exactly. Nope, we're going to run it back. 80 wins. All of a sudden, they're acting like they've won 110. 80 wins. We're competitive in the division. They're 13 games out in the loss column. 13, which we never talk about because the standard is so low. All we talk about is the 3 that they were out in the wild card race for the final spot in what is a pathetic wild card race. Oh, they're embarrassing. They're embarrassing. You're embarrassing your fan base. You don't ask enough of yourself. Oh, it's insulting. It is insulting what they've become.
So the question is, what are the prospects going forward? How's it going to change going forward? What's the landscape going forward? And I think the status is going to be quo. And that simply means the young players are going to come up. They're not going to spend much more on the team. Like, those days are over. It's that they've established what they are as a franchise. And that is not championship driven. They are just looking to build a sustainable business model is what they're looking to do. They're not looking to win championships. They're not looking to win the back pages, is what we used to say, kids, back pages of a newspaper. They're not looking to take over the market. They're not looking to grow the business. They're looking to have a sustainable business model. And that's it. I mean,
it's so boring.
2018, last time they won the World Series, right, Mazz? $235 million payroll. They finished first. The next year, in 2019, as they started to divest, they were still in first place in the league in payroll at 203. The COVID year in 2020, they were third. 2021, they were third at $180 million. 2022, they were sixth. 2023, they were 13th. 2024, they are 12th. So they are, will they add? Will they try and improve? They might, but I'm here to tell you they are not going to be a top 10 payroll. So that's not happening.
I mean, if you were to draw a graph, correlation of money spent to wins, that would be a pretty consistent graph, wouldn't it?
It seems to correlate pretty perfectly to me.
I mean, in the 4 World Series they won, they were in the top 3 in payroll all 4 times. So look at, to me, it's pretty clear. And again, I was reading through some of the older stuff today. Tom Werner talking about, if you look at the top 3 teams who spent last year, none of them made the playoffs. Okay, Tell me how regularly that happens. So how many teams win the World Series that don't spend enough? Because I would submit that teams that win the World Series almost always are in the top 10 in payroll. Almost always. So, like, you might spend and lose, but you can't resist spending and win. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So spending doesn't guarantee you anything. I agree with that. At least if I'm a fan, though, I know my team is trying. And you know why people don't watch the Red Sox and don't talk about the Red Sox? Because the Red Sox don't try.
It's a big part of it.
So again, fans follow the leadership of ownership and management. It trickles down. If you put in the effort and you care, the fans will care. So to me, again, there's a direct line to be drawn there. That comment, competitive in the AL East. So you can bitch all you want about the division. Okay? It's a hard division. It's supposed to be hard. It used to be hard because of you. Now you just want to complain about it and go 80-79 and tell people that you're competitive when you're 13 games out of first place. That's a freaking joke.
That's how far they've fallen. That's what the Pittsburgh Pirates or Kansas City Royals would say, Mazz.
Wow.
That's what John Henry wanted, and that's what John Henry has gotten.
Wow. That is, and people want to celebrate it today. That's embarrassing.
And are there really?
Who wants to celebrate?
Well, I'm saying, again.
These brainwashed a-holes?
No,
Again,
I had a little exchange with Billy Bird on Twitter. It wasn't acrimonious, and I love Bill Burt, who, again, works up at the Lawrence Eagle Tribune, has covered sports for years. But
he's pleased with where the Red Sox are.
Yeah, I put a comment out there about how the Red Sox have been 500 now for 6 years. You know, they're 436 and 431 over a 6-year span. That's all I put out there. Yeah. And Billy replied, and again, I'm sort of, throwing Billy in the middle of this. But he said, I disagree with this take. I know it's a fact. Well, if it's a fact, how can it be a take? But neither here nor there. This year was different, so different that Cora bought what Breslow was selling. We'll be all in for 2025, and he stayed. So the idea that Cora bought in appealed to Bill Burt. Yeah, I would tell you Cora quit.
Cora was paid off.
I think Cora was stupid, frankly. To me, that was the biggest news event of the year. I remember saying at the time, what are you doing? Why did you sign that? It wasn't even that good of a deal. It didn't make him the best. It didn't make him the highest paid manager. To stick with this, what are you doing? You could have had your pick of good jobs, probably.
I'm not so sure about that.
So maybe that's it. Maybe
that's why he took the money, is because he got a whiff of the landscape. And he's like, oh, these other jobs, they kind of blow. I'll take the money here.
Or maybe his market wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Yeah. We all thought he'd be able to pick Mets,
Dodgers,
Yankees,
yeah.
right? He'd get the Craig Counsell contract on the team of his choice. Maybe that wasn't there for him. Maybe the league doesn't view him the way we do.
Because he's becoming overrated. This is the third time that they have collapsed in September and gone nowhere. And now you're paying him $8 million for that crap? Get out of here. Get out of my face. Political Cora, I can't wait until he comes back, starts leaking out everything to everybody again.
Look at the job A.J. Hinch has done with the Detroit Tigers. They sold at the trade deadline. Now, that's a guy that's helped motivate his team to get into the playoffs. What the hell did Cora do? Jimmy's got a good point.
But he did nothing. Absolutely nothing. Like, ooh, the other day I got the double switch right. Oh, look at me. I can play National League Baseball when there's no pitcher to switch. Oh, look at me. And I got up my money, so now I'm happy. Yay. What a tool bag this guy became.
And they accept it because he's popular with the fans. Because
I'm not so sure about that anymore.
Apparently.
Well, you tell me. Who's their biggest star right now? Devers. But there's a time there's periods of time where Alex Cora is like the front-facing guy in the whole organization.
Yeah. He is. He is not wrong about that. He's the biggest personality they've got.
Okay, so because they're not championship-driven, these close but no cigar finishes in the wild card are good enough, and he presents well to the fans. He's perceived well by most of the fans, I think, Jimmy, still.
Yeah, I would say that.
Because most fans aren't really paying attention, and they don't care that they're missing the postseason. So it's like, There was a time not too long ago, it just wouldn't be good enough. It wouldn't be acceptable missing the postseason, never mind missing it 3 straight years. It wouldn't be good enough for a manager to have a team that played its worst when it mattered most for 3 straight years. It just wouldn't be good enough. It wouldn't be acceptable to John Henry and the group, or Lucchino, or whoever was running the team. It just wouldn't be good enough. Now it's good enough for them. And that lack of...
Well, for the field manager, because the GM got blown out after 4 years. for basically the same guy, except this guy is like, oh, hi, I have a World Series ring, so I'm smarter than you and I'm better than you, even though he's the same guy.
I'm with you on this. It's the same guy. Another clone. He is the same guy.
Mike, I played the game. I have a World Series ring. I'm better than you.
But Chaim Bloom wasn't someone that presented well to the public or wasn't popular with the public. So he goes. Cora, I still think by and large is popular. So he stays. But it all goes back to it wasn't it's not good enough. It used to not be good enough, but now it is. And that apathy has reached the fans a long time ago, and that's where they are. And I don't think it's going to change. They're not changing. I don't think they care that they've missed the postseason 3 straight years.
No.
I think they like their payroll being 13th in the league. There's still $2.5 million coming through the gate. It might be a soft $2.5 million. Used to be 3. Now it's 2.5, and they're giving away tickets at Costco. But still, it's probably a money-making number. And it fits nicely into the portfolio with everything else that they own. And that's where they are. And it's obvious that's how the franchise is run.
Sad.
And it's
pathetic.
It is pathetic. It is sad.
Yeah.
Because this is one of the few places where the baseball team would actually matter.
Yeah.
And they're pissing away one of the few markets that people would actually care.
Yeah, and again, I have felt this way now for a while. It's not like this. I woke up today and I felt this way, but some days it hits you harder than others. Like a deteriorating marriage. You wake up next to the person beside you and you say, I don't love you anymore. That's what it's like. Seriously. Feel competitive at 80 and 79. I'll blow that out your ears. If you like that clip, check out more videos from Felger and Mazz here. For more Red Sox analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.